Hey guys, how's it going? This is Red and Blue, your channel on YouTube for all things PSG in English. Please subscribe. Today, let's talk about Lyon versus PSG, the Sunday night game, the big game of Ligue 1 for this week, and the last game before yet another international break. Enough with those already. And yeah, honestly, what should be one of the big games of the French league, in this case, given everything that's been going on with the two teams, actually takes on a fairly underwhelming flavor, if I'm honest. And I don't think it's gonna be as much of a clash as we've seen in previous year. Like last year in the PSG Lyon game, the Lyon PSG game, sorry, the one in Lyon, it ended up 3-2 for us. It was a really big one. There was talent on the pitch and so on and so forth. Dembele, Cherki on their side. For us, Hakimi scored a brace. Dembele was on the pitch. It was really when PSG was strong. Yeah, this year, honestly, let's jump into it, but I don't think it's gonna be as interesting. I'm gonna try to do short actually, because yeah, in France, I cracked myself up. In France, we try to do our very own brands of Classico every time we can. So the OM-PSG is the classic. There's no such thing actually. Usually it's like Lyon versus Marseille is the Olympico, because both of them are Olympique Lyon and Olympique Marseille. And in this case, I think for this particular Lyon PSG, it might be the Injury-co, because obviously we've lost some player on the PSG side. And even on the Lyon side, they also are missing some of their key players. And so in this context, and because it's the last game before the international break as well, I do expect a fairly rotated team on our side. And we'll get to the starting 11 in a minute. But already 6 players who are confirmed injured. 4 on the PSG side, Doué, Dembele, Hakimi, Mendes, and Fofana and Nuama on the Lyon side. Fofana being their really one of their 2 really dominant players that they have in their squad. And 5 players that we aren't completely sure of. So a lot of injuries, a lot of fitness question, and so we'll have to see what actually what this game, what the starting 11s actually look like. Could be a PSG reset though, because for all of the players missing on our side, this Lyon team is actually on a downward trajectory for the past few games. They just lost this week in Europa League in Sevilla against Betis. They rotated their team fairly heavily, but they came out in Ligue 1 of a draw against Brest last weekend. The time before this, they blew a 3-0 lead against Paris FC and got a draw 3-3. They've taken a couple of losses recently, so it's not, Lyon obviously had a very rough mercato window this summer. They lost a lot of their key players. They had to save a lot of money. They bet on a lot of very young players and very inexperienced players. And for a while, it looked like it was a bet that was going to pay off big time. But right now, it feels like reality is catching up with them, and we see the limits and the flaws of this team. And I think, sometimes they lack a bit of experience. They're a bit naive. They're not they don't control the game like they should. I mean, leading 3-0 versus Paris FC and giving up this lead, it's kind of telling you everything that you should know about this team. Against Betis, they have a good start of the game, and yet Betis scores a goal and they rush forward, and so they get a second goal scored against them 5 minutes later. So mistake like this really shows that they still have somewhere in front of them. And I think for a PSG team that still, we still have a lot of injuries, we still have fitness questions for some of our players, we should still have way enough talent and enough tactical know-how to actually get the win on this one. And I'll just jump straight into it. I think for me, starting 11s, Lyon is fairly easy. It's going to be Griffin goal, Maitland-Niles on the right, Mata Niakate in central defense, Tagliafico on the left, Morton and Tessman in central defensive midfield, Karabek on the right, Tolisso in the middle, and Morera on the left, and Sulch up front. Tolisso is obviously like their big player right now. He's at a great start of the season, and he's missed the game midweek to rest up. There's still a little bit of doubt because he picked up a knock against Brest last weekend, but I really do expect he's gonna be there, even if it's on one leg, just because the whole international break after to pull him back up. And Moreira has been doing quite well as well, coming in as a substitute for their injured player, so he's also a talent to watch. On the PSG side, lots of uncertainty. So I'm giving you my sense of what I think Luis Enrique is going to do. And I'll point out like the places where there might be question mark. Chevalier in goal, that's clear. In defense, Zaire Emery on the right, and going through like the whole flank on the right. Zabarni, Beraldo, Hernandez in defense. I think question mark Beraldo versus Pacho, but I think Pacho has played the last 2-3 games in a row. So maybe Beraldo will get the nod on this one. Plus Beraldo and Zabarni have played quite a few games together. And in a context of or fullbacks not being there, you're gonna need a ball-playing defender to move the ball out of defense, and so that's why Beraldo, I think, gets a nod. In midfield, couple of question mark. Vitinha, I've put him there. We had 5 days since the Bayern game, but God knows he's been playing a lot, so who knows? The last game that we had before an international break was in Lille, and in Lille, he did not play this game. So not entirely impossible to see him rotated, but for now, I've got him there. Joao Neves only played 30 minutes against Bayern Munich, so I think he can start against Lyon. And then I've got Mayulu, because I think Ruiz, who played 60 minutes against Bayern and looked completely dead at the end of the game. Maybe they don't make him start this time. Maybe he comes on the pitch around the 60th and plays 30 minutes. He's been called up with the Spanish team as well, so maybe they want to save him a little bit in terms of fitness to make sure, there's not too much put on his shoulder too quickly after his injury. And then in offense, a couple of question marks because Barcola and Kvara both missed the first training after the Bayern game. They since came back to training, and we've been told there's nothing going on with them. So both of them could play, but both of them, and Barcola came out in the media and said he was tired. Kvara also picked up a lot of knocks against Bayern, and there's concerns around fitness. So right now I've put in a pretty conservative attack. I think Lee on the right, Ramos in the middle, and Mbaye on the left, which I think is his best position. But not impossible that either Kvara or Barcola, or even both of them, could make it into a starting 11. I kind of hope not, and I don't think so. I'd rather see them come on the pitch around the 60th, but clearly not impossible either. And then in terms of prediction, I think, like I said, I do think this PSG team has enough talent to beat this Lyon team, regardless of the context and regardless of the injuries and so on. I'm going to say this Lyon team is not very proficient in attack, so I'm going to say 2-0, 1-0 or 2-0. Short win, but we still get the win. I think our defense is still strong enough to annihilate what they've got, and I think if we should have at least 2, if not 3, of our usual midfielders starting the game, and that should help us dominate it in the end. So 1-0, 2-0. I'd say 2-0 actually. So anyway, here is what I've got for you guys for this game against Lyon. Oh, that went wonky. Here we go. Here is what I had for you guys for this game against Lyon. Last game before the international break. Just cross our fingers for no more injury, just to win, get the 3 points, put pressure on Marseille, who's been going through a horrible spell of their own. And yeah, see what happens after the break and what happens during it as well. So anyway, if you've made it this far, please drop a like on this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. We're this close to 500 subs. So help me make it happen. I love that it's happening. And yeah, leave in the comment. Let me know how you feel about this Lyon PSG game, whether what you see in terms of starting 11, and if you see things different than me. And obviously, what's your prediction for this game? And don't forget, as always, ici c'est Paris!